Hello, and welcome to Top of the World. Just the other day, I was explaining about the weather and how dry it is, and how it's unusual for us to have any rain. And it's raining, and it's raining hard, and it started last night, and it will finish tonight. So, not that I didn't need to do this, so I did, and I'll show you why. I've taken the opportunity today to move the little chicks into a new enclosure, in with the chickens, take a door off, repair a ceiling, and sharpen my chains, specifically this one. So it's going to be another video on the tractor and log trailer and crane, because that's what I've been doing all week. However, it brings a whole new set of challenges. If you don't cut your stumps down, you're going to flip the tractor and the trailer, or you're just going to flip the trailer, or you're just going to flip the tractor. Now, I've said a million times before, we're on a glacier bed, and that means we're on sand and rock. Bits of metal I find in trees quite often, so I try not to cut anything that's been in gardens, but rocks, as soon as you get near the ground, you got to check for rocks. I was in a new location, I had the tractor running, I didn't check for rocks. I hit a rock trying to cut a stump low, and I've got to cut them low. You can't leave the stumps high and manoeuvre in and out. I'm all over them, so I've got to cut them down so that they just tilt the tractor but don't flip it over. Anyway, in the process, I've hit this rock, and that means the chain's more damaged than I would like, and I've got to take more off than I would like. So I'm on the home stretch now with 2, 4, 6 teeth left to sharpen. Just before I finish that, I'll show you what they look like. So that tooth there is damaged on the side, and I have to take it back to new metal. I have to take a large part of that tooth off. There you go. So I can't leave that. I have to take that tooth all the way back to good metal. Now the other side, that's not so bad. It's not great, but it's not so bad. Now, it was a really good chain, and you can see from the end of life marks there, it's actually a relatively new chain, and I've done all this damage on a rock. Ouch. Anyway, so when you do that and you have to cut the teeth back, you have to cut all the teeth back, and you have to cut them back the same size. So every tooth, using a pair of these, every tooth has to be the same size. Clearly they're not when we get up to where we've just finished. Yes. So you have to take a lot of metal off to get this chain back right. If you only do one side, so if I only do that one and that one and that one, the chainsaw will go around the corner, won't cut straight anymore. So when you have damaged teeth like that, you have to take them the whole lot back, and you have to measure them to make sure you're exactly the right size, on the right angle. And then you've got your depth gauges. You have to make sure you take them down accordingly. Otherwise, what you'll do is you'll end up with a really powerful chainsaw, and it will feel like your grandma can hold on to it. And that's not what you want. So I've got to repair this chain, and then I'm going to go on and just sharpen the Husqvarna, because that's not damaged. This was the one I hit the rock with. In the meantime, while I'm finishing that, I'll send you off to the live action for a large amount of big timber that has come out over the last 5 or 6 days. Well, to load that took 40 minutes. Now, for some of you who've been around for a while, you saw the last big job I did on the side of the hill where we had to use a Toyota as a skidder. That's 2 days. So impossible by hand, 2 days with the Toyota, and that's only if I could get the back load or the forklift here. I can't. And you can see where we're going, look. So, could I have done this lot by hand? Yeah, eventually. Would have taken me all summer. It's not worth the value of the wood. I have got a slight problem though that I've discovered. They've obviously pulled down an old building over there, right, and then they've scooped up all the woodwork into one place and burnt it. And I've seen spicks, they're 8-10 inches, nails, spicks, nails, specks. Well, they're 8-10 inches, and they're in there, in this ground bit. I've tried to put a little bit of a pole there so I can see where the burn hole was, but I've found bits of wood with it in. So anyway, right. What can I tell you? Tell you what I have done. What's interesting is the birch is obviously running. Remember I told you about the sap running? That's why that's all wet. That just runs out of there. See, it's not water, sap. You got this kind of pinky stuff down the side there. But not only is the water not coming out of these, look how they're dry cracked. I find that fascinating. So the birch is wet, but the fir is dry. Completely dry. Well, it's a bit wet round the outside. Maybe they ain't started drawing yet. Maybe that's what it is. But you can see this one over here. Incredibly. Oh yeah, it's starting to draw around the edge. There you go. It's incredibly dry cracked in there already, but the sap is drawing around the edge. Yeah. What about this big one? Yeah, it's starting to draw. Okay, so you can see the lines around the outside. It's starting to draw the sap. And that one was quite... Yeah. I reckon another 150 years that would have been down by itself. Alright, let's get this wood back. And then we'll be back here in the morning and do it all again. There you go. So that's about 18, maybe 20 inches at the top, and the top's broken out. So based on that, that was easy another 30 or 40 feet. And if we follow it all the way down, right at the very end there, my crane is hooked onto a section I'm going to cut out. How's the clearing going? Yeah, we're all the way down to here. We've got to keep going, but we're doing well. We are doing well. Right, so I already know what I'm going to use this for because it's heavy in sap and it's been stood for hundreds of years. I'm going to give it another long life by knowing exactly what to do with it. So this is all going to be the cladding to my cant and board shelter and the new sawmill building. So I know what I need to cut it into, and well, the crane's never going to lift this. It's never going to lift it in 4, 5, 6 metre sections. Anyway, what I need are 12-foot boards. So I'm going to cut it at 12 foot in 12 feet sections, and hopefully I can lift it on. That's the big stump it came off. Right, that's the idea with this. And then once this is out the way, we're into a lot of firewood. We've got some firewood on already. Right, let's cut this up. Might look a bit rough, but the reality is the crane don't lift them. So what I've done is, because there's so many big ones, I've learned to manipulate the hydraulics enough to be able to get a certain amount of lift and spin and lift and spin, and just to get it on. And to give you some kind of perspective, them ones there, they're big ones. Alright, and then that birch, that's a really big birch. And then you've got those. Oh yeah, so this one here, that's a big birch for these parts, and I've never seen anything like this here. So, that's why it struggled a bit. If we step back without falling in all the snow and ice and crap, you can kind of see what's normal and what ain't. Normal, nice. Right, so I've got a few more sections left on that to come out of there, and as you can see, when you're making siding, right, that's going to make a lot of siding. It's going to make a lot of siding. It's going to make excellent siding for that canton board shelter and the sawmill and everything else. Right, let's go and get this lot off. It's Sunday morning. So when did I start? Sunday morning. Well, last Monday was when I started on site here, and then we had all the trouble with the hoses, so we didn't get going until Tuesday morning. All the front running up to the main road, that's all clear. And then all the back, all the way down to that shed, that's all clear. Amazing. Tons, loads and loads and loads. We can kind of see here these big stumps. Now, I'll do something with those. And we're all the way down to this barn in the field. Most of the clearing up you can see, it's all done with the claw. I ain't had to bend down, pick much up, a few bits, you know, a few little bits. We've cleared everything down the side of that building there. Like, we've got some little fur in the background we just got to cut down. We've got our piles going. And now we're into, when I started getting past this building, I made a bit of a mistake. Like the tractor's running, I made a bit of a mistake. And I thought in my wisdom, since I started down this end, that I would cut the big birches and the big willows into sections because it would dry better, and never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be picking it up with a crane, and therefore they would be easier for me to pick up and drier. So I kind of sliced these up. This is a nice section of firewood coming out of here, look, it will be. Anyway, this big one round here, this triple, which was one of the first big ones I took down. You see, I cut it into sections. And then all this over here, you can see I've also cut into sections. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Anyway, fortunately, I still ain't got to pick them up. So we're going to pick our way through here to get a road so we can come in here and start dragging these out. And the other interesting thing that happened was, I said I fixed all the hoses. I got this cylinder leaking every time I was fully extended. At some point I had the arm fully extended and all this oil's coming out and down. And I'm like, if that was leaking oil at this rate, I would see oil on the floor. And I'm not. And I put my hand under it and it's water. So in the far arm, when it's down, it's hollow in the arm and water accumulates, and then when you put the arm up it pours out, runs down. I thought it was a hydraulic leak. No, it's not. So there is nothing wrong with that end piston. It hasn't got a leak, it hasn't sealed itself. It was water all the time. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Where are we with the wood coming into the yard? We got a lot of wood for the sawmill. We'll be able to board some of that. We'll be turning some of that into cants for future use. We've got all the cants we did last year's got to come out of the woodshed to carry on building the new sawmill. Anyway, we're doing really well. It's a bit late in the year to still be working on firewood. So for those of you who've been around for a while, you'll know I started on the 2nd of January. And here we are today on the 16th of May, and I'm still going, and I'm not finished. Anyway, we are doing little projects in between, stuff that I haven't shown you because it's going to make a whole thing. The chainsaws are sharp. I won't be able to go to site tomorrow. It's going to be too wet, and it's just going to make an absolute mess. So I'm back in the yard processing wood. Thank you all for joining me. If you like the content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Feel free to comment whatever it is. That also helps me out. We'll catch you all on the next one. Bye for now.